Hello everybody and welcome to Uniko's 12 Days of Christmas Inspiration and Giveaways week 10, day 10. So we're edging closer to the end of this series and edging closer to Christmas, and this week I decided to revisit mid-century modern baubles, which came out in July-August this year. I did a video introducing these sets earlier in the year and I touched on this set a little bit, but I thought it would be nice to revisit it and look at something a little bit different, which I'll get to once I have made this card that I have done here. So one of the features of this set is building your own bauble. Obviously, it's got a mid-century modern feel to it. So the idea is that these elements, like the star that I've used and the circles. So originally the circles and the line in this set are obviously for hangers. But they can also be used as features to put inside the baubles, and like I've done here today, I've used them in the background. And then I've got these sort of line elements, which again can be used in the background, or like I have done here today, I've used them on my bauble. So we've got a bit of gold embossing here today. I've kept it quite simple. I haven't done a sentiment because I think it screams Christmas anyway. So we'll quickly make this card together, and then I will show you something else that I have been doing with this mid-century modern bauble set. So I've gone ahead and cut a piece of card. It's my usual 10.5 by 14 centimeters because this is an American piece of cardstock. It is a Concord and 9th midnight colour, which is an absolutely gorgeous blue. So as normal, I'm using my anti-static tool here just to rub off any stickiness that might be on my hands. Even though I have just washed my hands, it just helps stop the embossing powder stick anywhere other than on the stamped image. And so I've got the star, and I've also got the little circles of dots, and I just sort of made up my own pattern really when I did my card before. So I'm just tapping it into the Versamark ink, a clear embossing ink. You could, if you wanted to, you could use a gold to make it a little bit of a deeper gold, but I always seem to reach for my Versamark, to be honest. It gives a good impression. And I'm just going ahead here and stamping a design. Excuse me, still suffering from all these bugs that seem to be hanging around. My kids just seem to be bringing things home one after the other time of year, I think. Plus I've been having a few late nights as I've been trying to get bits and pieces of work done. We have our current Thankful For You sale. If you haven't seen it on the website, go and check it out. There are also a few retiring stamp sets. I need to make some room for what's coming. We have a little release at the end at the beginning of December, which is exciting. It's only a little mini release, but it packs a punch for sure, and I'm excited to share it with you. Anyway, so we've got our Thankful For You sale. There's some fun stuff in there, and as I say, a couple of retiring sets to make room. And with every order placed up until midnight of the 27th, you will receive a discount code, which is in an envelope, because the discount codes range from £5 to £25. And I don't know what code I have put in these envelopes now. I put them all in and they've all been muddled up, so I have no clue what you're getting, but you will get a minimum of £5. And that's just my little way of saying thank you to all my regular customers who place orders. You are much appreciated, and the code can be used online against your next order or at a show. And my next show is in January in York, and I'm super excited for that one because it is close to home, so I don't have to travel far. So I'm hoping to see lots of local customers at that one. And then after that, it's March, and that's Gateshead, another one close to home. So it's super exciting. So you might have meant, if you watched last week's video, there's still time. Don't forget that you can still watch these videos up until the final week, and I'll give a few days afterwards for you to catch up, so you can always watch them back if you haven't had a chance. Comment to win. So last week I mentioned that I have signed myself up to do the boys' school Christmas fair. I'm going to be selling a mixture of handmade cards, obviously. I have quite a stack, and I've also been making some handmade gifts, little sort of decorations and things. Most of them have got a Christmassy feel to them. It's just, I do love making stuff, and it gives me a nice opportunity to use some of my other favourite companies. I like Concord and Ninth, as you know. I like their inks, and I like some of their dyes. And yeah, I've just gathered, I don't know about you, but I gather lots and lots of inspiration through places like Pinterest, of things that, oh yeah, I'll get round to making that, and I never do. But this has given me a nice excuse to actually sit down on an evening, on a night once the boys have gone to bed, and make. So I've stamped the pattern. Hopefully you can see on the video. I will just shine it so hopefully you can see it. And I'm going to emboss with this Wow metallic gold rich regular embossing powder. As you can see, it's one that I have used a lot, and I don't seem to have much left, which is surprising because embossing powders seem to last ages, but this one seems to have been used a lot. And I am just gonna cover the image. It might take me a couple of goes just to get it well covered. As you can see, I probably didn't do my anti-static quite enough on the bottom, but I'll get to that in a second, and we'll try and tidy it up a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's a handmade card, and as much as we want to have something that's perfect, if it doesn't come out perfect, it just shows that it has been handmade and not mass produced. And for me, I am quite a perfectionist, and it used to bother me a lot. and I used to get rid of a lot of stuff if I made a mistake or it didn't come out quite right, or if it had that and I couldn't clean it up properly, I would disregard it. And I've learned over the years that at the end of the day, as long as you're having fun, it doesn't matter if there's a tiny mistake, because it just shows it is handmade. And I think we forget that sometimes as makers, especially if we have a tendency for trying to be perfect, which I know a lot of us can be that way. But another little trick is just to use a tiny paintbrush, and you can just brush off some of the embossing powder that's stuck in places where you don't want it to be. And I also, like here at the bottom, it's it might be my stamping's gone a bit wonky. It's gone into detail, so I have this pokey tool and I am just trying to follow the lines a little bit, and inside the lines, just to remove some of the excess here. And then I am going to give it a tap on the back, and there, it's got rid of some of the extra embossing powder where I didn't want it. Just a couple more bits there, and again, and I have my heat tool down here, so I apologise for the noise, as again it is a noisy tool, but doesn't half warm up things here. It's quite chilly today outside. There's a bit of a breeze out there, it's quite strong. I was definitely cold this morning on the cycle to school, so it's nice to get the heat tool out to warm things up a little bit here in the studio. So I'm just heating up these and then watching the magic as it all sets. I just love this technique. I just think it is pure magic every time you do it. And these stars look absolutely gorgeous in the gold against the navy blue. So I've gone for navy and red today, quite strong colours really, but they have a Christmassy feel, and obviously the gold as well. And there we have it. There is the embossed background. So what I'm going to do is, obviously when you heat emboss, it can get a little bit warped. You can heat it again from the other side if you wanted to. But what I tend to do if I'm working on a project, I tuck it under my pad, and just the sort of like when you're stamping and things, it just helps flatten it out a bit while you're doing other elements of the card. So on my original card I used this bauble here, which I already have on my block, and I've stamped and embossed it on gold, and then I've added the details, so we do all that, and then I added the hanger as well. But before I kept my stamp on the block, and I actually created a negative mask, which I've touched on before, which I'll show you, because I added a little bit of shading to the bauble just to give it a bit of a lift, a bit of interest. It's not hugely noticeable, but it just adds something, and it's a little technique that I like to do at the minute with coloured card. So I've got some red card here. It's just I don't think this is the Concordant 9th one. I just grabbed it out of my scraps box, and again I'm gonna tap this a little bit more this time with my anti-static tool, and again I am using the Versamark ink to stamp my bauble. So we're going to stamp everything first, all the details, and then we'll emboss it in gold. So I'm just stamping my bauble here. And then in the set it comes with 2 different size sort of hangers for your bauble. So I've used the smaller of the 2, and I am just stamping that over the top area of my bauble. And then we are going to stamp some of these details, just the little lines on here. The lines are slightly angled to hopefully line up with the edge of your bauble, but at the end of the day it's just about adding some detail and little elements. I think just add that touch to the ornament or decoration, whatever you would like to call it. Do you call them ornaments or do you call them decorations? It seems to be an interchangeable word for sure. So I've just added 3 there, and we're going to go ahead and add the embossing powder and then heat set it. Of course we're going to fussy cut it out, but I am definitely going to get some dies to match this set, as the next thing I will want to show you before I go today is something I've been making, and yeah, dies would just make life so much quicker. But I think this is one of my favourite sets from the Christmas release this year at Uniko. One maybe I've neglected a little bit, but it's so hard dividing your time, isn't it, against up with all your supplies that you want to use. That's what I struggle with anyway, dividing my time between stuff. So I'm just heat setting the bauble here, and as you can see, stamping the hanger over the top of the bauble, and then when you've heat embossed it, it blends in lovely there. Now before we cut it out, I'm going to use this negative die cut. So I'm not sure, oh there it is. So there's the stamped bauble that I've done in black, and it's just this is Eclipse paper, so it's like low tack. It's a bit, I compare it to like a post-it note kind of tackiness. So I've stamped it and then cut it out, and I've kept this negative part, because what I want to do is just mask off my bauble and just place it round the embossed areas. Now, one thing I do recommend is always, if you know you're gonna either keep your stamp on the block as it is, if you've got enough blocks, or make sure you stamp a mask before you take the bauble off, because the bauble because it's so flexible, you can change the shape of it slightly, and sometimes it is quite hard to get exactly the same again, which I have found in the past. So just a little tip there. Anyway, so I'm using Concord and Ninth Cranberry and a little sort of detail embossing brush, and I'm just going to go in over these edges near where I have embossed, and just add a little bit of shading. I'm not being overly perfect here. You can take your time if you want to. But you'll see that the ink does sort of stain the embossing a little bit. So at the end, when you feel you are done, I think that has added enough. You can just use, I haven't actually wet my stamp chamois. I haven't wet it today. It's still slightly damp from yesterday. Not enough to sort of clean your stamps, but it's enough to buff the embossing and just get that shine back to the detail. And if I lift it up closer, you should be able to see a little bit of shade in there. I haven't gone overly over the top with it. It's just adding a little bit of colour and areas of lightness sort of to reflect light. And then we're just going to simply, I have to say, it's, apart from the actual hanger of the bauble, it's quite an easy shape to cut out. It doesn't take too much, but again, it doesn't have to be super perfect because it is handmade. I'm just going to cut a bit of that excess off there. It just makes it a little bit easier. And this is probably the tricky bit of going around the hanger. I'm conscious, I usually have it quite close to me when I'm cutting, but I'm conscious to keep it in frame of the video. I could have had this pre-done, but hey ho, I'm not that organised today. It's been one of them days today, little things going wrong. And this morning I let the chickens out and I hadn't realised that the gate down the side had been blown open, and Chuck, who is our newest chicken, had decided, oh, she wanted to venture into the front garden. So it didn't take me too long to catch her and bring her back into the back garden. She was a little bit disappointed that I did that, but it's been one of them sort of days today. So there is the bauble that I have cut out. I've gone ahead and already die cut a tag. This is an old one. I have a feeling it might have been one from Clearly Besotted. From the beginning, it's either Clearly Besotted or Paper Tray Ink. But over the years, I have collected various tag shapes. And I am just going to simply attach the bauble to the tag using foam adhesive, little foam tape squares, and this time I will put my little bits in my pot. I can't remember who left the comment, but I made them laugh because I brought my pot over and then I didn't put my squares inside the pot, but I will try and remember today. I think I was so busy chatting away to you all, they usually end up on the desk, but I am trying to be neat with these because they just end up everywhere, don't they? And I have some tiny squares that I do for just the point here and the top of the hanger. And this is the fun bit where you need some nails or something sharp just to get the little squares off the back. My nails are fairly long at the minute. Apologies for the state of my hands, they're quite dry. The cold weather, and I'm forever cleaning up after 2 boys, as you can imagine. And I was out at the weekend last weekend sorting the chickens out. So yeah, my hands suffer a little bit. And I'm not so good at the self-care side of things, of putting cream on all the time. And I'm just going to cover up the circle of that tag, because we're going to stamp a little bow. Again, I'm going to do it on with cranberry on the red. And I'm using the solid bow. You could, if you wanted to, you could stamp and emboss it. With the open bow, you get that choice within the stamp set. I was just looking to show you, and I couldn't see where I'd have hidden it under my other card. So you could use this outline bow, and you could stamp and emboss it in gold on the red, and then add some cranberry embossing. There are so many different options. You could do a different colour as well if you wanted to throw in another colour, but I couldn't decide today what colours, so I decided just to keep it red on red, like a darker shade. And I have some cranberry enamel dots that I've used for the centre of the bow. And again, I'm just cutting this out fairly quickly here so as not to bore you too much. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about this week's giveaway. So the prize this week, as most weeks, it has been the stamp set or a gift voucher for the same value if you already own this stamp set. So it'll be Mid-Century Modern Baubles as the prize this week. I might even throw in some other stuff. I will see how things go when I'm sorting out all the prizes. So I'll just bring this back into view, and we'll find my stamp piece that I hid under here. So as you see, it's flattened out a little bit with pressing down on my paper pad, and it just helps flatten it out. Obviously I will then mount this onto a card base. We're going to use foam adhesive again on the back, a bit of dimension on this one, but again these are only 1mm thick, the foam squares, so about 2mm, 3mm in total. So you should still be able to get it through on a normal stamp, which at Christmas time, when we're sending a lot of cards, we want to be conscious of. I mean, you could, to be honest, you could attach the tag so it is flat and it's just the bauble that then has the dimension. There's that option, just if you wanted to be really sure that it's going to go through on a normal stamp. And I'm just going to attach it to this lower corner here, and then we'll attach, so I'm going to attach the bow here. So I'm just going to put some foam tape on the two sort of bottom parts of the on the strings of the bow, I should say. And then I will get to showing you. Oh, and I was going to put a little bit of double-sided tape across the middle, just a little slither of double-sided tape just across here, just to make sure it's secure. You could use glue. I'm just so used to using tape, and like so. And I'm just going to attach that there, And then I've got these gorgeous Concord and 9th enamel dots. So they come in 3 sizes, and obviously they match the cranberry colour, these ones. And I'm just going to use one of the medium sized ones just to add in the centre of my bow. And that is my finished card this week. So there's the 2. I've used a slightly different red card on compared to the first one, but they still look absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, so I was telling you about the Christmas fair I've been doing. So I was thinking about things that I could make and sell. And I made, you might, if you follow me on Instagram, and I think I shared this, I can't remember, but if you follow 7 Hills Crafts, I'm on their design team, because it is one way of me being able to enjoy my love of craft and all the other companies that I enjoy using products of. And one of the sets that I got had these beautiful, it's called Ornament Stamp and Stitch dies. They're from Concord and 9th. And they have 2 shapes, 2 sizes, sorry, of bauble. They match stamps. But I was just thinking, oh, it's such a gorgeous shape. I could cut them out of felt and make some felt baubles. And even it has like the hangers as well. I have trimmed off the top of the hanger because obviously I've made them out of felt. And even though they're just stuffed with toy stuffing, they have a bit of weight to them, with them hanging around, that the top of the hanger was going to come off. It would have just come off. So I've just secured some what do you call this, linen twine, I suppose, through the top of the bauble. And I've just done some simple blanket stitch around the edges, running stitch just to secure the floral elements and things. And so I made this for my post over on 7 Hills Crafts. I think it was last week, maybe the week before, I can't remember. And it inspired me to look at some Uniko stuff and see what I could make. And although I haven't got dies, I thought, well, I do have stamps. So I stamped out the bauble, this one, the largest one here, which is this shape here, and I stamped it on some felt twice and just cut it out by hand. And I stamped the oval outline as well, and I just stitched it together and made a cute little bauble with a mid-century modern feel. Obviously I used the starburst. I stamped that again. I did it in a light grey that it was hidden once I'd stitched over the top. I did use their die cut hanger, but you could easily cut a sort of triangle, really. I don't know, what would you call it, a trapezium or something? I can't remember. I'm not very good with geometric shapes sometimes, other than the regular ones. And I just stitched that on the top, and again added the twine. I did add stuff into it, but it is quite small compared to this bauble. But I had fun making it. And then I thought, oh, I'll have a go at using one of the other shape baubles. So I used this one, and because the sort of sizing is quite different, I didn't think that it would stuff that well. So I actually decided not to stuff this one, and I just did 2 sides. But yeah, I had really good fun stitching these mid-century modern baubles. And I'm going to go ahead and probably make another 1 or 2 using that. In the past, I have also used heart-shaped dies like this. I do have, this is a set where you have different sizes, and I've made a heart before, and it was Uniko's original snowflake die that came out. I know some of you who've been following since the beginning will know the snowflake that I'm on about, but you could get a larger heart shape, and you could use the sparkling snowflake die. And I think in the past as well, I have die cut the snowflake from card, and you could make 3D snowflakes as well. Maybe that's something that I might do for another week. I've only got 2 more weeks left, and we have quite a lot of, I feel I've got quite a lot of products still that I want to use and share with you. So I might even do a bonus post, bonus week, 1 week, I don't know, we'll see. There is so much happening. So yeah, I just wanted to show you another way of thinking outside the box. Do you make handmade gifts? I mean, yes, I've made these, and I've made that one that I showed you. We're using the Concord 9th, and I have some ideas using heart shapes and things. And I was thinking, oh, I'm making all this stuff, what if I don't sell anything? Well, if I don't sell them, they will be given as gifts this year. So do you make handmade gifts? Is it something you do at Christmas or for Christmas? Or do you just simply not have enough time and buy all your gifts? I'm trying to be a little bit thrifty this year, a little bit mindful of what I buy. And I'm trying to think of something more meaningful that I could give someone. So yeah, I think that is everything this week that I wanted to share with you. So if you've been waiting for the mid-century modern baubles, it is on the restock, which is coming. It'll be in the studio on the 1st of December. Thank you for all the back orders. Don't forget that you can use, you can back order at the minute of the items that are coming in on the 1st of December. And any order that you place that has a back order, I will let you know when it has shipped. Don't forget about the sale. There's only a few days left, and there's only a few days left to get your little discount code. I'll show you the cute little envelopes. The code is inside here. It's sealed. I have no idea what is inside this one. I have a little stack next to me, and I am just randomly selecting an envelope when the orders come in, and it's a little gift from me. So thank you for joining me this week. I hope you have enjoyed the video. I know I've talked a lot today, but yeah, thank you very much for joining me and for all the lovely comments. I am going to get round to answering some of them and replying this week. So thank you very much. See you soon.